Okay, I'm gonna try to say pretty nice some things that I'm not gonna be screaming. I'm gonna try to say pretty nice a few things of my memory, which kind of trigger me now. I was listening here Jordan Peterson interview with Bjorn Lomberg. He's a Danish author, and basically he's the president of the think tank Copenhagen Consensus Center. Okay, that's like how the best I can say. Somebody can probably look at this very interesting interview. And basically, what it does, this company that he's the president, they're proposing ideas for the better life. Basically, how to improve things for the best, for the smallest money, for the best benefit of all. And between all this, kind of like, it's a good idea. I think that's very good. I would like to put sometimes my input in. I think I have some ideas. Uh, but anyway, and then Jordan Peterson basically said, because he said we have to enrich the lots of population, that it's very poor. Uh, and Jordan Peterson was basically saying what we have to define about rich. What does a rich mean? And then Mr. Lomberg Born, I don't know how to say his name, but he basically, in way explaining the richness, mean that the people have a house, the people have a mean of life. They live on a very small amount of money. They're at home. The kids go to school, and the security somehow, the community, and this kind of like struck me because I realize that I was once actually very rich, extremely rich, and now I'm probably pretty poor. And this is what I want to say, and I'm going to say basically because my history went through my mind, since I was born, and now basically I was born in Yugoslavia, under communism. I know now we were called Federativna Komunistična Republika Yugoslavia or something like this. We said, yeah, communists, but this was like here you would say Republican or Democrat. I don't know. It didn't really, it didn't go in my mind at all ever, like some like weird system. And because he was saying like this, we were not having a lot of money, but I never had shortage of money, or basically, okay, well, I did have things that I would like to have and I couldn't, and I know that basically if I would have the money I would go those things, but it was never a loss that you don't have it. Some things, it was usually something a little bit more, kid stuff, luxuries, little, some Porsche, some Ferrari, some, like, I don't know, I never had really design for the cars. That's not me. But like something like this that you don't need it, but you would like to have it. And it was not so on. But like, let's say that I didn't have money to go as a teenager, go to the dance, or that I would like to go in a bar and have a beer with other guys, and if I didn't have the money, but there was never a problem. And if I need to go and buy a sandwich, or if I need to go to eat, or if I need a water, or if I need tow truck or tow tractor, or I need whatever was ever, it was not connected with the money. All those things you got it through you as a human being to another human being, through making you favor to this guy make favor to other one, and this one, and basically everybody was doing favors. Or, I went to the bar many times young, and I didn't have money, everybody buy you a drink. Always somebody know you at least a little bit. And even if nobody know you would stand there, someone say, why are you not drinking? You say, I don't have any money, just I come from school, I don't know, whatever. They would buy you because they knew that one day we're like this, and it was like not a big deal. And this is how we did make the friendships and know friends. We know people. And this was basically be very rich. I've never been afraid for my life, except the stupid things I did with the motorcycle, and I got killed almost a couple of times. Or some reckless driving. You're young, you just do reckless things. But to be afraid that the police is going to kill you, or that you're going to say something wrong, you're going to end up in jail, and you're going to be, stealing was not any idea. Why would you steal? Because everybody know everybody. And if you stole somebody, they're going to know that the people will talk. He lost, somebody stole it to him, and now you have it. People were talking. There was no way. Nobody could steal a lot of money and then have it showing up like I have like 3 cars, I have like 2 houses. Where did you got it? Right away to check the books or whatever. You see, it was no interest. But we were all stealing, all little things, just to satisfy this little. We had a little trick. Hey, what? Can you fix me this at the job? And if you went on a job and you fix something for this guy, you took company. Still, you use company machine, you use company time you were doing for somebody else, and you got paid from us, if you would say, from the people. But we were all doing little favors. Everything else was done. We were in no rush to do much more, except what we were doing to improving our lives. But we had time. We didn't need to rush quickly, make a big profit for somebody else. We didn't need profit. Because even if we didn't have money, we did provide services to each other. You see, to go to school, my mom never had a headache. I had a headache because I had to go to school. I didn't like to go to school. Definitely not. From my village, you take me to the town. No, I didn't like it. They were like crazy guys over there. It was like a different environment. I didn't like it. I was not that familiar with all those that the kids were playing, in the towns. We call it apartment buildings, they were buried between so on, they were fighting so on. I came down from the hills, I was working, not like playing with the kids. And then suddenly they started behaving wicked, they want to fight and they want to like probe you or something. Yeah, it was stress. I didn't like to go. Got bloody nose. I made some bloody noses, and it depends how you go. This is how it was. Adrenaline was rushing, many things, but it was basically, this is a life, and it's supposed to be like this. But the freedom that we have, but we never even talk about freedom. This was the most interesting. We did never talk. It was obvious that mom has a job and dad has a job and he would never lose the job, and we have the house and we never lose the house, and it's no matter what. My daddy become drunk or not become drunk, my mommy become hooker or not hooker, whatever. They don't want to work anymore. We do not lose the house. I will not be hungry. I will be clothed somehow. I would be living in my house. Maybe we're not going to have so many new TV or something like this. I'm not going to get a new clothing once a year or something like that. But it's okay. This was inconvenient, but not existential. And that's basically what it is, that I feel that I was really rich if I compare to now. Look, I don't know, I'm going to be able to stay in my house. Well, who's going to pay the medical bills? If I'm going to get a pension, where I'm going to be. I'm going to end up on the street, or I'm not, or, somebody's going to come rob me. Like, it's strange. yeah, not really, not security. I would, but I'm not gonna personally whine. This was my choice. This is how it is. I do not know how it's gonna go, but somehow it's gonna go. But you see, it definitely doesn't feel rich. No. And this is basically very interesting that those two guys are talking. And I'm going to listen a little bit, and I'm probably going to prolong a little bit. I'm going to get some ideas. Since I'm talking about that system that I live in Yugoslavia, I have to stress again, this was basically, I was triggered by those two people that I made that interview, and the solutions they're trying to find now, how to make people live better. And, I'm not going to go into this. You can listen to their interview. They explained really well and the reasons why and how this would look like, that basically we would have no poverty, and we would have we don't have overpopulated world, but if this would become a problem, if we would be civilized enough, we could solve this. But all the other things, the healthcare, the social security, or like whatever, pension, dignifying life, rights to your property, because I think so that here I'm a little bit confused about the rights about property. And again, I have to compare those two things, and I think so. Maybe it's also my duty. I was for many years quiet. People told me, American friends told me, how I was living in Yugoslavia, how was the system over there. And I have to be quiet because I didn't want to offend them, or I would lose friends if I would tell them. But you know what? Now I'm like 63 years old. I'm going to say it how it is. It's my experience. It's how I feel it. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I'm honest. This is how it is. And I do as everybody is supposed to do. I'm using my own brain, and I'm put a little bit philosophy in it. I'm trying to compare those two things, and then what's supposed to be the problem, it look like that it's not. It's maybe just manufactured problem, or how, if it's really a problem it is, how would you solve it? And as those group over there, they find the ideas. And I'm just going to say again that my system where I live up, the property rights, it was like this. No matter what, nobody own your property and you're going to take it. If you had a loan on, look, you're still living there. You're going to somehow paying off that loan. But not that the people are going to reap you then even more and more and more and more and more. The most of the times people went in some problems with some loans that they borrow very little for the building the houses or buying a little property because it was not expensive. Because there was no reason that would be expensive. Why would it be expensive? Just because here we have expensive because somebody else has to make money on this. That's why it's every time more and more expensive. And we have to pay over and over and over and over, and somebody's getting rich because of this, This is how the system it is. Fine. But I'm talking, and what they are kind of like looking into it. Idea it is, if it wouldn't be expensive, then everybody would buy, and property would be available because one guy died, another one is born, and somehow these people died, another one move in. Okay, it's mixing a little bit, but in general it would be like this. Why? Why would somebody could work 1 year in America in 1930s and buy a house? Nice house for that time, a little bit smaller, but every house was a little bit smaller. Became a little bit more, I don't know, luxury, a little bit bigger houses. But okay, this was then. How come now you have to work all your life to finally pay off the house? And in the between all the time, you're in danger that you're going to fall behind and then they're going to take everything away from you. You see, it's not easy to live here. Actually, it's not easy to live in any time in a system like this. Because now more and more of my friends are kind of like agreeing with me that here we have a problem. For many years I did saw the problems that I was predicting they're not going to go well, because in my logic that I'm thinking, I'm analytical person and I'm looking further, and things didn't look right. Okay. Nothing would change, even if 100 people would say that I'm right. This is how it is, but I'm like observing and predicting just for my own hobby, and then see how the things are turning out. But as I said, more and more people now say that the things are not right, which are not. It's obvious. Now it's pretty obvious. But it's very hard for human being trying to accept the system is not right. They always think that just because we've changed the people, then the system would work. It won't. You can change as many bus drivers, and if the bus has a bad brakes and no shocks, no matter how, every time you're going to hit a pothole, it's going to be hell. It doesn't matter, and the people can talk as much as it's a new driver is coming, it's going to be better, new driver. No, until you're going to realize that the bus has a flaw, it's not good design, it's not made up good, until you're going to have a problem. And the same is in this system that we live in, and it's kind of like part of Europe and some parts of the world, some other parts now totally running away from this system. It's looked like now more and more that system was not really loved in a very much part of the world, but it was forced down the throat to those other countries. I think so that basically for Yugoslavia, I can say that basically we fell through propaganda, that we believed that the West is really so well, and then we were very happily went into. Today nobody know what the people really think. I think so that everybody, those who didn't succeed to the top, to the riches, those are so drunk that they don't even know where they are, but they are in those little euphoria of richness. They believe so that it's heaven on earth. But the others who kind of like didn't, some young one they don't, they're like enthusiastic and they believe so they're gonna achieve it. But I mean more maybe my generation of the people, those who are kind of like out of the prosperity now, and it would be interesting to know what they think. I do not know. I would speculate if I would say. I think so. Some people do realize they were doing, but they're also going to have a very hard time to admit that they fell for it. It's hard to say. Yeah, I was too. I didn't, but even I went much more in the world because of the interest than economical gains. I did never dream honestly about being myself very rich. I like to be successful, and I think so at some point I really was. I did a lots of good. But basically that's the situation that they are proposing, how the system could be made, when this time here is now coming, probably very obvious that something's going to has to be changed, and not people but the system. And the longer the resistance is going to be, the worse is going to be outcome, and it's going to prolong the suffering, because no matter what changing the system is not really easy. It brings lots of problems. Because the people cannot find their own, they can't confine it. For a long time it's pretty shaky. Too many interests and too many misunderstanding and too many manipulation and propaganda and stuff like this that usually but it's imminent. It has to be, and it will be. That's not the question, and it's basically very, very heavy in the process right now at that moment, for those who listen a little bit more. And if you if you think a little bit with your own head, if you just follow the news, then but whatever opinion you have, like I'm fine with it. I'm just giving my point of view and comparing to the other system. For maybe some people are interested to know, this is how I felt over there, and this is how it was, and this is how I feel over here. I'm not here to change anything. I'm just predicting and looking how the thing's gonna go. I'm using the experience that I have, and I listen to the other people's ideas, like as those two that I'm listening. There's lots of people who have the influence and knowledge, and even up really much up on the top. Sometimes I listen to interviews, very influential people who have absolutely different opinion than whatever it's now in the power. Somewhere there something's has to be some compromise, not by choice. It's going to be by force, because by itself, it came to this, that basically it's going has to be something done. Period. It's like, there's the car broke down in the middle of the desert. Now, you can do whatever hell you want. You cannot avoid anymore. You're going to have to take some drastic actions. Either push it, either throw it away. I don't know, whatever. It cannot be, well, wait a little bit and we're going to boom and we're going to go on. It's done. And the same is like this. It came up to the point that it's done. It stopped. It's only plunk, plunk, just falling off everything. Like in some movies when the car just everything starts falling off. That's why, maybe I would like that the people would think, because I think everybody would be much happier, the system is going to come. It's a lot of things that they talk, and then everybody's going to have it is, and I'm going to work for other guy, and I want to have my rights, and da 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 da. All this is going to go away very easy, Everybody's going to be happy, As I said, imagine, like, I'm really interested when you see the other countries, how they live, I remember in Yugoslavia when, my God, my dad every day he had a good time, He didn't go to bars, play poker, go to Vegas, to casino. He went to the neighbor. 2-3 guys together, they were thinking already. They drink homemade wine. Do you know what kind of quality it was? Not like what you buy here in Temecula, California, whatever, Napa Valley. This all made wine. This is nothing to naturally squeeze the juices, fragment it, turn a couple of times around. It's a process. And then you have the wine. This is all made chemistry. Yes, it is chemistry in from the grapes, concentrate. You get concentrate for Coca-Cola. Go to the local, they have those small joints here, they say, brew your own beer or something like this. You can make wine there too. Chardonnay, Pinot, all that stuff like this, If anybody think that I'm like, I was, what was interesting? Because we had a winery at home, and I know how much acreage was for those wine and how hard it was to make this wine. We were making much more on hand, didn't have the machinery, and also some things very clever here. You see ideas, but anyway, it was whatever the grapes, you can only produce as much per square acre or hectare, whatever, somewhere in a range, and then I was looking when I was in the Napa Valley. But man, I was driving this river down there, I think the Russian river, some area there, and stuff like this. We were exploring with my wife a lot, looking those one. And then, today you have a Google Maps, and then I went on a Google and I was looking down the roads. I always like to see the bird view. And I was like looking there, like, how much wineries there it is. And then pretty a lot. But the amount of wine that is going out. I spoke to some truck drivers, who were driving from there, and they were calculating how many amounts of wine go out from California every night. That's like, it's totally ridiculous that anybody think that those wines that you're paying very hefty are real wine. If you dispute, go check. Everybody can do this math. No big deal. Go Google, see how much, calculate. You're gonna see even more interesting. It's a smaller area, but Temecula. Oh my God! This is so much wine we only Slovenians drink in 3 weeks. Like how it was in the old time where we drink a lot. Oh, no way. No way. And actually, they show how they make wine there. Everybody, they can look down. They show you. You can look there, but because you don't know how it's made, you think that this is made from the grapes. They exactly make it like you can do it by yourself in a mini brewery. But anyway, this is they had a good time. They had it. They just had all the fun. They got the women on the side of their marriages, just as they do it over here. They didn't took them to the Vegas. They just took them somewhere else. But they had a good time. I believe so. It's, they had a job security. Nobody was concerned for anything. Except, they work hard and they were trying to do. But, the happiness and this... not concerned. I really call them, I really miss this. I miss this. Now, sure, I wouldn't say that I don't like nothing over here and I'm not happy here, and there was like so many good things. Many, many, many good things. I like a lot of things. I could talk about it. But you see, the idea of the new system, I'm listening what the other people proposing, because I'm not in a position. I can talk here, to you, friends, whoever. It doesn't change anything, but I'm listening the others, what are they proposing, and I'm, mixing in my feelings and my analogy. I'm very happy because this is what are they proposing? If people say, oh, you're going to be communist system, China system, I don't know, whatever. No, this is old, new, something new. From here, from there, put everything together. This what didn't work here, fix it. Use this, what worked over there, best, what didn't, put it up. Make it something. But it would be a really good idea if it would be kind of like universal around the world, It has to be one system more than less, Those two systems of the old style, there was a communism and capitalism. They were so opposing. That basically either one was brutal in its own, way too opposing. That's not good for the, for the world in the future. It will be something that will be much more universal, different, but kind of like in a much closer proximity between one another. That you would say it wouldn't be a big thing, big changes, it can be drastic, big difference. And this is what's proposed and what basically the majority of the world wants. And we're going to fall into. Want it or don't want it. It's not even a question. There's no other chance anymore. We're going to be in. And it's going to be just fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be perfect. It's going to be much better than it is. For God's sake, we're going to make something new. We should start participating now in a discussion of how we can do. Because we all agree that this, it doesn't go anymore. And you see, I really want to do this, my little monologue, in a positive way, which I talk to many people, like many American friends, I talk about those issues, and they're very aggressive and in one way sometimes, but I understand because it's hard to imagine something else. But I say, look, don't resist. The more we would resist to this imminent change, we're wasting energy with the resistance instead to start progressively preparing for the new one and participate what we would like to have in and what we maybe wouldn't like to have in. And if we're going to demand something that we would like to have it, we would have to really dig in and see why would be opposition to this. Because maybe sometimes you don't like something, but you don't understand exactly what outcome's going to be because you're not maybe that familiar. That's why I like discussions, because then somebody who's claiming something that I don't like it, I should be entitled to interview him and question him that he is explaining to me to the detail that I try to understand why would this be. And then on the end, it's only going to come. Either he's going to have to admit that this would bring to the bad outcome, or I'm going to have to admit basically that, oh, it is going to be good. I didn't know, or he didn't know. That's about the discussion. And I'm telling you here, we should be concentrating on this and trying to understand what do the really Chinese and Russian and now Latin America, what in the hell do everybody is talking? They want to have it. Because here we hear so much, everybody's going to be, what do they say? Everybody's going to be rich and everybody's going to have nothing and you're going to own nothing and stuff. This is such a bullshit. This is again some propaganda, some mixing up. It doesn't make sense. No, it's just like right away. It's scary like shit when somebody tell you this, because you start thinking, oh no, oh I'm not going to have anything. I'm going to. No, it's absolutely nothing like this. But you see, don't just listen to whatever they say. Go research on your own. It is enough available. Really, seriously, you have to look like, but you cannot let other people give you the sources and then just tell you and then you just believe. That's not your job. Your job, or our job, it is to really analyze, because somebody may lie to us. And I'm going to finish here because I don't want to go much longer, but maybe some other day. It was just kind of like I got inspired, and I say a little bit very easy maybe for some people that sometimes ask me how I feel about Yugoslavia or communistic system and this one. We could be much more said, but it's very simplistically. Okay, good night to everybody, and please put some comments down. I would like to discuss. I don't want to offend anybody. Okay.